Thanks for the support as a channel member, Dr. Cyandeep Das. No, I'm disappointed as well. When Manchester City agreed to loan him back for 18 months, I was convinced Ryan Lawson goes on to become a club legend, but I guess La Liga was a more interesting place for him to go on loan. But to make up for it, we have signed new players, including a record signing, at least for me. We've spent a bit of money, so well, I think we'll be okay. Hello and welcome to part 19 of the Greek Odyssey. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two games for you in the Super League. We're at home against Panathinaikos and against Giannina. Since you were last with me, we have had the Ryan Lawson shenanigans. He's gone to Manchester City. Manchester City agreed to loan him back to us for a year and a half, so until the end of next season. But he instead decided to go to Girona till the end of this coming season on loan. And I'm very sad about it. I mean, we'll obviously try again to get him back in the summer. We had agreed to pay all of his wages, so it was going to be a huge wage cost compared to what he was costing us before. But it would have been significant bringing Ryan Lawson back, but it was not to be. However, we have been bringing in some players. We've got a replacement for Lawson, sort of. Stratos Smyrnis is a 24-year-old former Greek under-21 international, 3-star current ability centre-back. He's not quite as good as Kios or Kalapitos, but I mean he's better than the backup players that we had, and he's just come in, slotted straight into Lawson's spot in the team. He's not as good, but at least he's even taken his number. Talk about big shoes to fill. And we've also brought two players in on loan from our affiliate club, Southampton. I guess they are officially a parent club. Paul Duffy is a midfield player, can also play defensive midfielder on the wing, but we've brought him in. We wanted central midfielders. We've gone back to the 4-3-3. We're fully committed to it. We just needed natural central midfielders. Paul Duffy is one of those, and he's only played once because he came in with no match fitness, but he is as good as Androutsos. And another new signing, so we'll jump straight to him before showing you the other Southampton guy. Josep Calavera is a 22-year-old Spanish midfield player, can also play defensive midfield, but he's a natural box-to-box midfielder, 4-star current ability player. So we've now got 3 very good natural central midfield players at the club, and also Labru is learning to play central midfield as well, as is Andriopoulos. So our central midfield is starting to look like it's actually got some players in it. And then we also brought in a striker, Damien Hanel from Southampton. He's a current England under-21 international, 18 years old, 4-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. So he's already the best player at the club by star rating, and he's only going to get better and better. We've not played him yet because, similar to with the other guys, Duffy off of Southampton, he's arrived not fit. He's still on 53% match fitness. So at the moment, not desperate to start him, but he will slowly but surely get into the team as the season goes on. And with both of them being from our parent club, theoretically, if they could, we should be able to get them on loan for next year as well and them not cost us anything. But this guy, I mean, he's tall, he's quick, and he's a good finisher. I know I don't pay a lot of attention to attributes, but the star ratings agree as well that he's a good player. And with all that said and done, we still have a £2 million balance. We still have transfer budget. We still have wage budget. And we even, after all of that, have upgraded facilities going on as well. I can never remember where you have to go to look for that now. There used to be a tab for board. Where did that go? Because that's where it is. Is it in Club Vision? Here we go. It's in here. So our training facilities are being improved as well. So all good stuff. It was well worth selling Lawson. I just wish we could have got him back, but obviously wasn't to be. So let's play Panathinaikos. League-wise, I haven't really showed you that. We did struggle a little bit when Lawson first left, but we have won our most recent game against Atromitos, which means this is the situation we're in with 7 games to go for us before the split into Champions Group and Loser Group. We're 4 points behind AEK Athens with a game in hand. We need to win these 2 games, really, to give us a chance of pushing into that championship group, which I'm not going to be desperately upset if we don't this year. I think we are still assembling a team. I don't think we need to be worrying about getting into Europe this season, but it'd be nice to have the option to push for it if these new signings settle in and end up any good. So this is the team. This is the system. We're decided on this now. And this is, I would suggest, probably our best 11, although maybe my Hanel goes in ahead of Luris. And we probably need to upgrade our wingers in the summer as well. Or even now. I mean, the January transfer window is still ongoing. I mean, you can see that Duffy's also still not match fit, but neither is Calavera. None of these new players have arrived match fit, which is troublesome. So we've got Brinoli in goal, a back four of Giannina, Kios, Smyrnis and Guras. Labru at the base of the midfield, who, I mean, Halilaj is falling way down the pecking order because Labru's now better than him as a holding midfielder and is the next one to be wanted by a big club. Real Valladolid are after him. So we've stuck a £4.9 million release clause on him. Who wants Guras? It's only a loan. We won't worry about that. So we need to keep an eye on that situation. Who wants Todd Thomas? Only loans. We don't need to worry about Mark Tracy. Those clubs, after all, our players, these are all loans, so that's okay. So Labru with Duffy and Androutsos ahead of him, and then Zaidas, Luris and Nacho, the front three, but with my Hanel down there on the bench, very much ready to get involved in things if needed. Duffy will swap out for Calavera, maybe even as early as half-time, depending on how he's doing fitness-wise, but they can both play in that central midfield role, which is very handy. Let's avenge what happened last time. Normally, I'd do an underdogs team talk, but I think we're slowly but surely putting a good team together. I think our midfield is massively upgraded. If we can just sort the wingers out, I think this is a team that certainly next season, as long as we don't lose too many more players, I think we're getting in a position to have a push for like a top 3 or 4 finish next year. We'll see how that works out for us. Guras. Cross comes in. Zaidas is there and it's headed just wide. And we do need to try and push on for European qualification as soon as possible, just to nudge the board, nudge Mrs Wearmouth towards not building a new ground that's too small. That is one of the things I mentioned, that before I started the series, I'd simulated into the future just to make sure that I hadn't overpowered the youth academy. I noticed, I went back and had a look at that save, and in addition to Apollon never getting out of Super League 2 and just selling all their players for years and letting the facilities just decline constantly, they had moved into a smaller ground there as well. So it's obviously a thing. This ground is not fit for long-term use because it's apparently so expensive to run, so I can see the benefits of getting a ground with cheaper upkeep, but it seems very short-sighted for a club that we're obviously planning to establish ourselves in the Champions League with. Right. And Androutsos with I was going to say a lovely tackle. He's actually got himself sent off here, hasn't he? Has he? No, he hasn't. Or has he? No, he's not even been booked. How do you go for a red card review and then not even book the player? Football baffles me at times. It really does. Right. Oh, goodness. Brinoli absolutely flapping at that one, and he's very lucky that it's ended up going high and wide. We've only had 30% possession in that first half. I think we need to alter our mindset a little bit. Let's give the fans a performance despite that's not a good team talk, Kev. That is not a good team talk. Right, Smyrnis has picked up an injury, so we have no centre-backs on the bench. Labru can play back there, and we've got Halilaj on the bench, so I guess that's what we're going to have to do. Make him that, and then he's going to be that, which is probably my cue to bring Calavera on in like 15 minutes because he's a natural box-to-box midfielder. That's not the ideal thing to have done. And then for a final change, I guess my Hanel on for Luris with about 20 minutes left, just especially if it's still 0-0, to try and show us how good he is. It's a little bit unfair on Santa Maria, but Santa Maria is not impressed at all this season. Oh, it's bubbling around in the area, and Zaidas with a big chance, and that has been the best chance of the game so far, and that's hit the woodwork. I just saw that tick over. I thought that, I guess the goalkeeper's pushed it onto the crossbar, but we've had a corner here, and Luris with a header straight at their goalkeeper, and we are getting ready for our second change, which is going to be Duffy for Calavera in midfield. And then 10 more minutes, and then my Hanel. If we sign him permanently, we're going to have to change his name because I can't pronounce it. My Hanel. Right, he's going to come on, and play as the advanced forward and just try and get in behind and make a nuisance of himself. And if he gets a chance, you never know. Let's have 10 minutes of passion. Both teams are inspired and fired up. It's going to be end-to-end stuff in the finish. We've not had any possession of the ball today, but we've looked defensively solid. We've just not really looked like scoring, which is where hopefully having the new young striker will allow us to just score some goals. It's been our big issue all season. We've just not scored enough goals. Calavera now, first chance for you to have a little look at him in midfield. Plays it forward to Zaidas. Giannina on the overlap, but ends up losing the ball, but then winning it back. And it's back with Calavera. We've got like a minute and a half left in the game. Nacho has got an overlap. Why is nobody looking at Guras, who got himself in a fantastic position, but because he was ignored, he's now left a big gap behind him for the counter-attack for Panathinaikos. Giannina does brilliantly there and clears, looking for Zaidas, who's come back to help get involved in the defence. But then he's won the ball back, and now it's 2-on-2. Why is my Darnold thing... What's his name? Damien Myhanel. Why can't I say that? It's not a difficult name to say. We're just going to change it to Damien. Because I can't say it. How do you play this game? What is happening? Right. Myhanel. Just doesn't... My mouth can't do it. He's unflappable just as well. Because if he's listening to this, he's going to be furious with me. Just Damien. Because otherwise... Right, Luris hasn't scored for ages, so maybe Damien needs to come in the team. So just a couple of changes for the Giannina game then, both at the back. Sirikos comes in for Smyrnis, who picked up the knock in the last game, and Kalapitas coming in at right back for Guras, as he is now available for selection again. We've got people after Sirikos now. Oh, they're just loans. We won't worry about them. Still got fitness issues. Duffy slowly but surely getting back to match fitness. Calavera, not quite. Damien, nowhere near. We need an under-19s game, which I think we've got one coming up tomorrow that I've set all of them to play 90 minutes of just to try and get some match fitness into them. So the lads who are starting today are going to play a lot of football in the next 24 hours or so. Right, we want to avenge what happened last time we played this lot, because this is a team who got promoted the year after us. They're in a relegation battle. We should be better than Giannina, and hopefully we'll show it today. But they did beat us earlier on in the season, which was very troubling for me at the time, because we should have been better than that. But here is Kalapitas on the right-hand side and skips past his marker, but can't quite get the... Well, I think he's trying to shot. I was going to say can't get the crossover. He's trying to shot, which he shouldn't be. He should be trying to cross from there. If we don't win this game, I think any hopes we've got of getting into the championship group are gone, because this is a team who are way below us in the league. We're at home. There's only 5 games remaining after this one. I think we've got to be pushing back up into that championship group today, or accepting that there was too much mid-season disruption to the team. I think that's the thing with this whole splitting relatively early in the season. January transfers take on a whole new thing, because they don't have time to bed in and get used to the team coming in January. So it kind of becomes more important that you get the team right in the summer, and accept that January is more about building for next year than helping with this year. Because like with these loans who've come in, they're not going to be fit in time to actually make a difference to whether we get in that championship group or not. Luris has scored though, and it's an 11th goal of the season for Luris. Nacho does well and gets himself into a decent position. Then thankfully, just as he's about to shoot, he's tackled, which puts the ball into the path of Luris, because we all know Nacho's not going to score from there. But Luris is a decent finisher on those rare occasions he gets into a decent position. It's just because he's so slow, he rarely gets into the position, but he was helped out massively by the attempt at a tackle there. And it is 1-0 to Apollon. And as you can see, as it stands up there, we are currently sat back in the championship group again. Is this a red card review for one of their players now? What's the point of these red card reviews that don't even end up with yellow cards? That's twice in this episode we've had a red card review that hasn't even led to a yellow. Surely if you're going to a red card review, you know it was a bad foul. You're just deciding how bad. Very odd. Right, 1-0 up at half-time. Complete contrast to the last game. We're dominating every stat. Now we just have to not mess up from here. I do want to get Damien on again, probably for the last half hour or so, just to try and get fitness into him. Similar to Calavera. I'm tempted to leave Duffy on and maybe bring Calavera on for Androutsas, give him a little bit of a rest, and just try and get game time into the ones that need it. Giannoutsas just lumping that back forward, finds Duffy, and Androutsas and Duffy knocking the ball back and forth between each other. Find Labru. Androutsas plays it out, looking for Nacho. He's got Calapetus there to help him. Decides not to use him and gives the... Oh, I thought he'd given the ball away, but Labru is there to clean up the mess. Duffy plays it into Zaidas. Cross comes in. Nacho's there, and Nacho misses. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that Nacho was going to miss an opportunity like that? Eh? It's remarkable. Right, Zaidas not having the best of games. Right, half an hour gone. No, half an hour left, sorry. Right, Androutsas for Calavera, definitely happening. And does he like being an advanced playmaker? Not really. So I think we will play him that way round. And then I do want to get Damien on as well. I know it's a little bit harsh on Luris because he scored today, but I want to get fitness into these players to try and make them useful so they can make a difference for us. So if that means ruining some of my current players, I mean, Luris, I've already decided Luris doesn't fit how I want to play. I'm just hoping we keep him around the first team squad long enough for him to score enough goals for one of the bigger Greek teams to go, you know what, he's worth £1 million. I'll give you £1 million for him, just to cash in on him more than anything. Right, Syrikos plays it forward to Calapetus. Calavera now. Calapetus again. Plays it forward, trying to find Damien, who nods it back to Duffy. Duffy plays Zaidas in, who's in behind here. Can he get the crossover? He ends up playing it back to Duffy, who shoots, and it's just over from Duffy. And that felt like that should have been another goal. Right, Zaidas needs to come off. We've got Boomal who can come on for him. That's a pretty easy substitution to make. And then if we just ask for a little bit of creativity to finish the game off. How has that pressured my defenders? I'm not asking them to be creative. I know the shout goes to the whole team, but use your initiative a little bit. Defenders, just defend normally. I don't want creativity from defenders. Just play nicely and get the ball forward to the creative players. Sheesh. Right, Nacho. He's got Calapetus supporting. Doesn't use him. Looks for Damien. Can't find him. Duffy, back to Labru. Again, it's the same old story that's been for Apollon all year, where we are playing well and not scoring goals. But Nacho's just done brilliantly there. Only a second goal of the season for Nacho this year. What a contrast to last year when he was on like 14 goals. Playing in exactly the same position, same role, same system. I don't know where it's gone wrong for him this year, but that was Nacho back to his best. And that is a lovely finish to put us 2-0 up with 7 minutes remaining. And as it stands right now, we're going into the end of this episode in the Champions Group qualification spot. Ball's bobbling around in the area. Calavera. And it goes a little bit high and a little bit wide. But it doesn't really matter because it looks like OFI have lost their game. So with 5 games remaining, it's in our hands. But who have we got to play in those 5 games? OFI, that's a big game. Xanthi, Tripolis. You know what? PAOK are the only really big team we've got to play in this run-in. And it's at home. I think we've got a chance of getting into the Championship group this time around, which means a chance of getting into Europe, which would be awesome. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.